Hello, welcome back to Movie Reviews. Right, let's go to a very let's go for this a very divisive movie. Of course, I think I'm interested in the review, but also at the same time, don't know what the repercussions are with this movie. Of course, I'm talking about Kids from 1995, directed by Larry Clark and is written by Harmony Korine, a very sort of like notorious writer director. Of course, he did stuff like Gummo, Mr. Lonely. And also the sort of infamous Spring Breakers as well. So this is one of his early writing movies. I mean, he was only a teenager when he wrote this. Um, Kids, Kids is very or is a very sort of a difficult film to really say very much. I mean, it's once I really delve into this film, you can be surprised what really goes on in this really. So I think I'll start with how I know this film. So interesting enough, I have a local store called SEX in my town, in town centre. I do, and it's a big business. You know, it's like Cash and Dance very much. Like you just bring stuff in, like anything electronic or games or DVDs very much, and you get them with cash and everything. You can just buy stuff. You know, you can get DVDs for about 50p very much, which is quite interesting and good. You know, anyone who has a low budget, like a very low insufficient funds. You know, if they want to film, you get a DVD for about 50p. Fair enough. And I was looking on the shelves and I found this movie called Kids. Now this is my weird sort of interesting thing. I thought Kids was to do with like a dysfunctional family, like a big family situation, similar to like Once for Warriors, very much. I thought to do neighborhood delinquents and everything like that, but also like with family and everything. Like I think another one can sort of like Boys in the Hood and everything like that. You know, them sort of things, sort of movies. I was totally wrong when I watched this. I watched a documentary, like a multi-part documentary called Banned in the UK from Channel 4, and it showcased Kids. Actually, I was really surprised about what was going on in the movie. I thought, oh my, Jesus Christ, my God, is that what the film is? Jeez, and people can buy it on DVD now. My God. Yeah. So, right. I was really surprised by that, and and God. And so yeah, so let's go into it now. So Kids is a coming of age film from '95. It's set in New York City, and it follows the adventures of a delinquent called Terry. No, not Terry. Telly. As it's Telly Savalas, or who knows? And he's going around losing, deflowering, if you say, all the other girls in the sort of New York State very much. But what they don't realise is that he's HIV positive, and he's basically spreading the virus all over the place to all his girls and everything. And one of his earlier ones, a girl called Jane, is trying to prevent them from stopping him because I think she finds out that he's HIV positive, and just tries to prevent everything. But shocking thing, of course, I think she finds out that she's got the AIDS virus, of course, and through she tries to test, oh, you're positive, you are. But I had sex with Telly. No, you do with the virus, of course. I mean, he's just basically going around all over the place, and in by other place, I mean, having sex with 13-year-old girls. God, I mean, that is sort of like heavily. I mean, I think these kids. I think it's about 15, really much, or 15, 16, or four, maybe 14. I don't really know actually, and it's just like my God. I mean, it was written by Hamid Korine. I mean, he was a teenager who wrote this. This film was written by a teenager, of course. Really, wow. And it's really just something else. I still think about it. I think it's a really it's a really difficult film to explain very much. Like it's really hard to explain sometimes with it. Yeah, of course, it's written by a teenager. The cast themselves are actually just people from New York. They're not really actors themselves. They're just kids who just appear in the film. That the director Larry Clark just picked up very much, and they basically started acting, of course, and everything. Although some of them actually do appeared on to acting career. Some of them, a couple of them didn't really. Well, actually, some of them basically didn't last long. I mean, one of them killed themselves, of course, from in sort of like in 1999, 2000, and one died in 2006 from an overdose. So I think sometimes well, I don't know really. And everybody just, I think I don't know, maybe the fame, of course, or some, I just really don't know very much. But somebody carry on. There was a soundtrack release, of course, if you really like hip hop and everything. I did actually found that in a charity shop. I think like earlier this year, I think, just in a pile somewhere. And I thought, oh, okay. But I didn't really pick it up, really. I mean, I just found it before it was there. It was sort of like, among with stuff like Radiohead and everything like that. I mean, Pet Shop Boys, everything else, favorite soundtracks, of course. Yeah. One thing to gloss over is I have seen the film, but I've skipped over the sex scenes very much. I mean, I didn't really want to really witness everything like that. So I just skipped over. I just basically did the right thing, the clean right way of just skipping over the sex scenes. Let me put that clarify. I did skip over them. I didn't really want to. I think I'll probably find that they'll cringe me very much. I mean, they'll be just, oh. But I feel lucky I haven't seen them, so that's okay. What else to point out? I mean, it was banned in the UK, of course. I mean, for what it was being, I mean, what it was what it was meant, of course. What Channel 4 said, I mean, some people thought like, well, kids don't behave like that. I mean, well, maybe some kids do. I mean, if they're horny or anything like that, like sometimes kids are reckless. Kids are reckless. I think it depends how they're brought up. Very much, like if they see stuff like that as a kid and they think, well, I could probably do that. It's where society goes these days. Sometimes, the generations and generations, of course. I mean, there's some pretty safe generations. I mean, I think all of us are reckless in terms, like, it's just human nature very much. It's like you sort of think yourself, I really do like that girl. However, how long will I see her? Probably get the chance, or something like that. I think if that's into context, I don't know really, but. I just really don't know. So yeah, I mean, and there's some other stuff, like, of course, with Telly and his friend Cameron, of course. I think Cameron is his name, of course. Smoking pot, sitting in living rooms, and also having a couple of fight scenes with a couple of skateboarders in Central Park, everything like that. It's a coming of age film, but it's a very different type of coming of age film. Of course, I mean, some people might walk in blind and watch this and you think, oh, it's some kids say in New York. I think how's that going to go? They never read the blurb, of course, and they start walking straight, and they'll be shocked and turn it off instantly. I mean, you can still get on DVD, surprisingly. I mean, I've recently bought a DVD copy of it, surprisingly, because I found it in a store that was closing down, and a bunch of other films, and it only cost me £3 to get them. How interesting. Not every single copy of Kids, no, just one copy of it. I mean, it's part of this Momentum Pictures, what do you call it, like a worldwide series or something. And I think there's another film called, I really forgot what it's called now, it's some Japanese film as well, I found as well. Yeah, really. So, Kids from 995. It's a rare, interesting beast, of course. I mean, there's some films talk about like HFA as well. Philadelphia really comes to mind in that one. One Night Stand, I think, is another one. I really don't. I think some films just really, gloss over the HIV/AIDS issue. I mean, some do take it as a hard subject very much in films. This one sort of does anyway. I mean, 1995, I think it's still strong in the mind. So, well, it sort of works in that way. It does. But it also has like this disgusting sort of like underage, if you know what I mean, of, preteens having intercourse very much. I mean, it's like not what people want to see. but I'm surprised it's a cult classic in many ways, and you can still get it on DVD. I'm surprised by that. I mean, it's how old am I now? It's 23 years old, that film, and it's just something else, really. Anyway, I've talked about Kids from 1995, written by Harmony Korine and is directed by Larry Clark. Has an interesting hip hop soundtrack and is filmed in New York City and has a very, very, um, let's say, a restrictive, very, let's say, divisive subject, very much. Anyway, thank you for watching. See you for the next video.